Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of the Movie Nights Roundtable. Live, it is me, Dalton Burdett, with the amazing Nick Iricchio. Nick, how are you, my friend?
I'm doing great, buddy.
Me as well. I feel like it's been forever since we've done a show when really all we did was just take 4th of July off, but for some reason it feels like a lifetime. I'm happy
Were
to,
you were you on that first week? That show that first week? Oh,
yes.
that the Tuesday show? Oh yeah, so it has just been a minute. I remember I did one recently solo, so I didn't remember when that was.
Time all blends together and is a man-made construct to sell Hallmark cards somehow. That's kind of where we're at. But everyone, we have a very exciting show for you guys today. There's a lot of news stories to talk about. Thank God some movie news happened yesterday where we would have no show today. Also, on top of that, there's a couple fun housekeeping things to announce. One, if in case you don't remember, we have officially partnered with NordVPN to help you get a discount on NordVPN services. You can use the link that will be in our description later, or you can go to nordvpn.com/movie nights to, be able to watch Netflix from other countries. You can use it to, it's mainly just to keep your browser safe and protect your information and yourself on the internet, especially when you're on like hotel Wi-Fi, things like that. You want your information to be safe. You want to be able to do things properly. So NordVPN is great, and please use our affiliate link because you're supporting the show also. Another big thing I want to announce is this. Officially, our latest short film, Quiver, which went on the festival circuit last year and had its premiere last year as well, will officially be available for purchase and rent on Apple TV on July 18th. That's a week from this Friday. Very, very excited about Quiver. You can find the trailer in our description and on our channel if you're interested in watching the trailer. Whenever it comes out next week, I will not shut the hell up about it to try to get the word out. I'm really excited for people to watch it and for everyone's thoughts and feelings on the movie. We're very proud of it. We worked for a long time on it. And again, just very proud of it and happy to finally get it out in the world for everybody to see as we just work on our next ones and we keep it going. So before we get started with our stories, I also want to just point out that if you're joining us live, I highly recommend that you please put something in the chat. We'll pop you up on screen like so. And when we do so, we want to make you part of our conversation. We want to make you part of the show. And we will also take time during the live show to address you and address your questions. If you feel inclined to send us a super chat, don't feel like you have to. But if you feel so inclined to, we'll obviously prioritize those first. Excuse me as I just get the live chat thing working because it didn't work in my example and it was embarrassing. There we go. Now we can get your chats up there. And Calixter's already in the chat saying we were late even though we were early. And he says, movie news equals muse. I don't love it. I don't hate it. Maybe we can test the waters on that, but I'm not loving it so far. Nick, you got anything to add before we dive in here?
No, I'm very excited that Quiver is going to be on Apple.
Yeah, boy.
It's about time. I feel like we filmed that like 5 years ago.
It was 2022, I think, when we started filming. So
pretty close.
3 years ago.
Very exciting. Had a very, very good festival run. That was the word I was looking for.
It was right there. All along. But yeah, very excited. Guys, let's dive into the movie news now. We have fun stuff to talk about. Here we go. Do you remember when Chris Pratt played Garfield? Well, let me rephrase. When it was announced that he'd be playing Garfield, and the entire internet went just absolutely berserk about how creativity is dead and it was the end of everything.
I do remember this. Same thing happened with Mario.
Yes, of course. And at the time, while we had talked about how we wish that more prominent voice actors were used for these type of roles, that it's not going to be the end of the world and that it's going to be fine. Was kind of the thing. And then both Mario and Garfield came and went. Mario was a huge success. Garfield did okay, if I can recall. And it's official. From today's news on Deadline, a Garfield sequel is coming with the amazing Chris Pratt. Nicholas, as I fix my screen here, clearly everything's going great today. Your thoughts on Chris Pratt coming back for a Garfield sequel?
I mean, I guess it makes sense, right? They probably had that baked into his contract, right? That if they want to option out a sequel, he'll be back and reprising that role there. And I think it's very funny because I feel like from a development standpoint, right? Because I think Garfield and Mario were not too terribly far apart.
No.
Just I remember all the, and I think that's priming them to come out around the same time again, and I think that's just very very interesting. And I also just pulled up while we were talking the numbers for the 2024 Garfield movie. It had a worldwide box office of 254 million, almost 255, making 4.2 times its production budget.
Hey, I forgot it was low budget. That's good for them.
So that is super low budget. It had a great Mission Impossible sequence because Ving Rhames voices a character that's the standout of the film. And it wasn't, I didn't love it. I don't know if I'd go as far to say as I hated it.
Yeah, I feel the same way.
It just sort of exists, so I'll go watch a sequel, sure.
No, for sure. I'm with you. And it's one of those things where maybe they can improve on the film. And also, that does not feel like it was 2024. That feels like it was so much longer ago.
When did Mario come out then?
Was Mario also 24 or was that 23?
It was 23. So it was still close. Within the realm of like Chris Pratt's doing too much vocal work. And and I don't know how to feel about it, but both were fine.
And it'd be like that sometimes. It'd be like that. But guys, what do you think about Chris Pratt coming back to voice Garfield yet again? Let us know in the comments as we move on to our next story. And this next one also broke today. And this is a nothing story. I'm just so glad that we're doing this. I wanted to do this so badly. Big news, everybody. Dune Messiah has officially been retitled. And you are never going to guess what the new fucking title is. Are you ready for this?
Hit me with it.
Cut to my close-up. Dune Part 3. Oh my god.
They did it.
Oh my god. Such a fucking revolutionary thing to do. There was actual backlash to this that I saw online of just people, like huge Dune fans, basically being like, it's called Dune Messiah. And the point that they're trying to make is that the Dune Messiah novel is very different from the Dune novel. And that title change, calling it Part 3, makes it seem like it's one thing. Dude, who the fuck cares? It's marketing. A title is marketing. Part 2 did very well, so we're going to fucking do Part 3. Kylixer just put in the chat exactly what I was going to fucking recommend. I'm pulling it up right now. This was my compromise. Just call it Dune 3, with making the E a 3. I think that's a great compromise. It would be lovely. Yes. Nick, thoughts on Dune Part 3? Should they have changed the title? Are we all pieces of shit for not caring about it? Oh, lost John audio. Go ahead and go back out and come back. Guys, clearly it's been a hell of a show so far. Hell of a day as well. I worked like so late. All right, you're back.
I am back? Okay, great.
Mm-hmm.
Live television, everybody. Listen, I can see the backlash being rightfully so, in that the Dune franchise is, from a novel standpoint, something a lot of people hold in high regard, something that people want to have interpreted correctly, especially when you're actually getting.
Did you see that too? Yeah.
When it comes to interpretation, I think that you had the David Lynch movie from the '80s, and now you have the Denis Villeneuve ones, which are excellent, excellent movies. I love both of them. I think that they're great movies. So I could get people being excited and wanting to see Dune Messiah, which, from my understanding, is a lot of people's favorite of the Dune series, being adapted correctly to film. And I think that it makes sense, though, to do the title change. I can see why people are upset about it, though, because I feel like it is going to be very different based off the changes that they have made from the first Part 1 and Part 2 movies. So I think just calling it Part 3 is just a lot easier. I think that you also run into, like, if they had Dune : Messiah, right? Or is that going to confuse the general audience that maybe saw the two movies and thinks now this is like a spin-off and not genuinely a continuation of the Timothée Chalamet movies? I don't know. I think it's, sure, it seems like a weird thing to get worked up over, but I do kind of get it. But I think the more interesting thing was there was all these reports saying that Dune Messiah or Dune Part 3 was also going to be filmed entirely in IMAX like The Odyssey. And then in this article, they just very quickly under their go like, well, that's a lie. Some sequences in IMAX like the first two movies. Yeah. So I thought that was more of an interesting story than the title change, personally.
Yeah, for real. Variety just dashing everyone's dreams. I thought we lived in a utopia for a second. I wanted to point out, I've actually heard contrary to what you've heard. I know a lot of people who Dune Messiah, they can't stand that book. Like the comparison I've heard, and any Dune heads, either in the live chat or later when you're commenting later, please correct me if I'm wrong. This is just what I've heard. I've heard that when Dune Messiah came out, it was like the original The Last Jedi, where people were just so upset by taking what they incorrectly interpreted from Dune and then doubled down on it. And you can actually see interviews with the author where he says, so when I wrote Dune, I was writing a story about how to be wary of Masonic figures and to be careful who you put into power and how power can change a person. And then some people didn't get it, so Dune Messiah was just me being like, hey, this is what I was saying the first time. And it's so there were some people who reacted negatively to that. Now, maybe with time, as you're pointing out, like people have gone back and been like, oh, this is actually fantastic. But from what I understand, when it first came out, it was like a very divisive thing, which I find interesting.
Did you ever watch the Dune TV show that came out?
No, I never did. And I heard mixed things, but I heard it
either.
ended really strong.
Yeah, I did want to check that out. I don't just never got around to it. I felt like no one really talked about it either, which I thought was weird, especially coming off the hype of Dune Part 2. But listen, I'm there for Dune Part 3. I'm there for Dune Part 4. I'm there for Dune movies they want to make. Hopefully Denis makes them all, but he's got James Bond now, so I don't think it's likely.
Yeah, I think he's done. I think he's done after 3.
Do you think they try to continue, or do you think they kind of wrap it up in 3 parts and call it a day?
I think if Dune 3 is the highest grossing one by a lot, like if it makes like 800 million to $1 billion, I think they're absolutely going to continue without him. I just think that it depends. Like if it makes around what the last Dune film made, I'd say end it there, but also I'm not the person making those decisions, and there are people who make a lot more money than me doing that. So, hey, we'll see what happens. We'll see what happens there. It'll be certainly interesting. Guys, those were the off-the-top little stories. Now we're going to dive into the real deep dive news stories that we have for you. And one is a follow-up from months ago. I feel like we talked about this. A while ago on the show, Nick and I had been discussing that Michael B. Jordan was going to be directing a reboot of the Thomas Crown Affair, a story that's been told multiple times and has a lot of passionate fans. And not only is it very exciting that Michael B. Jordan is making it, obviously, but we now have a lot more details about other things going on. And my hype for this movie has skyrocketed. I was already excited, okay? My hype has now fully skyrocketed into the stratosphere. Here's the information we have. Joining the cast, we have Denai Guerrera, Lily Gladstone, and Kenneth Branagh. Fuck yeah, dude. Are you kidding me? That is a cast. That is a cast right there. Absolutely. Other details, we know that Michael B. Jordan's going to direct and star. It's going to be produced by Amazon MGM, which we also knew filming begins July 7th, so yesterday, in London. And while plot details have been kept under wraps, both the original 1968 film and the 1999 remake were heist stories revolving around a wealthy, thrill-seeking man who orchestrates a high-stakes robbery simply and for the challenge, only to find himself entangled in a complex cat-and-mouse game with a brilliant investigator. Now, this comes to us from Deadline, as you can see in the article, but there's something very important that I want to point out here. Not only did it get a cast update, which is all fun and great, it also got a producer update. And you might be thinking, I don't really give a fuck about the producer, which, hey, that's fine. However, the producer that they got, you guys, is Charles Roven. Charles Roven is an insanely prominent producer who's produced incredible films and used to be kind of Nolan's right-hand guy when it comes to producing. So if Charles Roven puts his name on a movie, it's a good faith sign that he believes the movie will do great. Here are just some examples of things that Charles Roven has produced. He was a producer on Oppenheimer, which, won Best Picture. He was also a producer on a lot of the original DC EU stuff, because he was also a producer on the Dark Knight trilogy, which then led him to produce a lot of the DCU stuff as well. He was a producer on American Hustle, on the Dark Knight trilogy, like I said. He was a producer on Get Smart. Hell yeah. He was a producer on The Bank
Best
Job.
Picture winner Get Smart.
Yes, in a perfect world. But he was a producer on Three Kings. He was a producer on City of Angels with Nick Cage. 12 Monkeys he was a producer on. Now, granted, he was also a producer. Oh, he was also the producer of the first James Gunn Scooby-Doo film and the second one, Monsters Unleashed. He produced those as well. So clearly, we're talking about these. And yes, Kalix is pointing out he produced the classic Wonder Woman 1984. Yes, he did produce the DCU films, like I said. He also produced Kicking and Screaming with Will Ferrell. But essentially, this guy has a reputation for putting himself on things that he believes will either be a huge financial success or a huge critical success or both. And so the fact that he's joining this project, and it's with MGM Amazon and not Warner Brothers like he, as you see from his resume, is typically accustomed to, I thought was a very interesting sign for him. So, all that to say, I've rambled. Nicholas, what are your thoughts on the new castmates, and what are your thoughts on Charles Roven joining as a producer?
I mean, listen, we've said on the show countless times, it's never a bad idea to add talent. I think that Denai Guerrera, Lily Gladstone, Kenneth Branagh are great talents. This does make me concerned, though. Are we going to be getting more Agatha Christie, Kenneth Branagh movies? Because if this puts a pause on that, then maybe he needs to drop out. But listen, I think Michael B. Jordan's an excellent talent. He aligns himself with great people. You know, he sort of took on that mantle with the Creed franchise, right? Even going so far to direct the last one, which I thought was an excellent movie, especially for a directorial debut. He was just in Sinners, which is currently my favorite movie of the year so far.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that this is a very exciting project for him. It's very clearly very something he's passionate about, you know, as he wants to direct and star in it. And I think surrounding yourself with great talent around that is just all around a win. I have not seen any of the other Thomas Crown Affair movies, so I'm not familiar. I don't know if maybe that's something I want to check out beforehand or just to kind of go in fresh and see. But overall, as for Charles Roven, indifferent, I guess. I don't think I really feel strongly one way or another on it. The movies you named and rattled off were kind of a mixed bag overall, you know, but he has a lot of very good wins in that repertoire as well. I guess my question is, and maybe if a lot of people don't know, can you briefly kind of touch upon like the role of like a producer versus like an executive producer? And you don't have to elaborate like deep, but just kind of like a high level, what
sure.
that role is and how it relates to like the Thomas Crown Affair as an example.
Sure. So SparkNotes version, there's different things a producer can do. A true producer is basically responsible for making sure that the film that is being made gets made, essentially, is made. That's why when a movie wins Best Picture, that award goes to the producer. It's because the film could not happen without them. That means a lot of things. It's partially creative, where since they're making the film happen, they can have a say as to what happens creatively. Like Kevin Feige is a producer on all the Marvel films because it's his kind of creative roadmap. But also, a producer gives the directors, the writers, the actors, all the tools they need to make a film possible. It's the producer's job. So basically, Charles Roven joining this could mean, this is speculation here, it could mean that Michael B. Jordan has a very distinct vision that requires risks to be taken on him as an early filmmaker. And so he needs a producer who has the pull, who has the connections, and has the wherewithal to be like, I will get this done for you if this is what you need to achieve this goal. And so that's what kind of a producer is known to do. And that's what a great producer should do. And people get mad at me when I say this all the time. Internet can fuck off. Kathleen Kennedy, amazing producer. If you look at all this work she did with Spielberg and George Lucas and Frank Marshall, her husband, everyone, Steven Spielberg even said he owes his career to how hard Kathleen Kennedy has worked for him to get him what he needs. So there you go. Little brief interlude on the job of a producer there. But guys, what do you think about these crazy new cast members and producer joining the Thomas Crown Affair remake that Michael B. Jordan will be directing? Let us know in the comments. As we move on to our next story, and this next one, I debated even doing, Nicholas. And it's not, listen, it's a fascinating piece of entertainment news that I'm very excited to talk about. But how do I put this? My fiance is a massive fan of what we're about to talk about. And with that, she's likely going to make me read these things that we're going to talk about. And they're probably great. They have a huge fan base, of course, as we're going to get into. But it's official. There will be a series at Amazon of The Fourth Wing, which is a very popular book series going on right now. Some examples we have up here: The Fourth Wing, Iron Flame, and Onyx Storm. Just hearing that news alone doesn't really interest me. But then I found out who the showrunner was. And I immediately told myself, God damn it, I'm going to watch this whole fucking show now. Just because of who the showrunner is. The showrunner of the new Fourth Wing show on Amazon will be Jac Schaeffer, who was the showrunner of both WandaVision and Agatha All Along. As we mentioned, Amazon MGM is adapting it. We're taking this from Deadline. The original showrunner exited. There's no current release date set. The series oh god, I'm gonna fuck this name up. Series follows Violet Sorrengail's journey to become a dragon rider in mid-war at Basgath Academy. Basgath Academy? I hope I did that correctly. I apologize if not. But literally, you put Jac Schaeffer's name on it, I'm fucking excited. WandaVision is an incredible show. Was an incredible show. Agatha All Along ended in a way that was so fucking good. And I liked the show up until the end. It was a good show. But the end is so fucking good that it literally makes you look back at the entire show and go, yo, did not realize how good it actually was until they tied that story with a bow and said, fuck you, now you feel stupid, go back and watch it again. And that, I love that. I love when shows do that. So I literally am taking something that I do not care about, that Hannah, I'm sure, is going to be thrilled that I'm talking about. Going from this to watching, I'm going to watch it just because Jac Schaeffer's making it. Like I said, I'm beating a dead horse at this point. But Nick, I'm throwing it over to you. What are your thoughts on this series happening? And what are your thoughts on Jac Schaeffer being the showrunner?
Yeah, I know nothing about the series. I assume that my girlfriend will start reading it if Hannah's been reading it.
I think she's read it already.
I think she's reading a different series.
Listen, there's like 4 of them. This is what I've discovered.
I've
asked too many questions.
I don't want to ask questions that I don't want to know the answer to.
That's a genius move. I need to start doing that.
I don't want to put myself in the position you are where you're going to have to read it. But I will say, listen, I like a dragon show. I'm a D&D player. We've talked about this on the channel. So I'm always down to watch some fantasy stuff, especially if Jac Schaeffer is attached to it. I think that she's an excellent showrunner. I think WandaVision and even Agatha are some of the stronger, MCU TV series. I think they're definitely in the upper echelon. Agatha might be toward the bottom of that upper echelon, but still leaps and bounds above a bunch. And I agree with your sentiment that I think the ending rules and recontextualizes the show in such an interesting way. And so I think that she is a great person to have on board. And I am, to an extent, sad that she's not doing another Marvel show.
Yeah.
But on to bigger and better things, I suppose. Amazon, though, has just been crushing the game lately.
Amazon's got money.
I feel like everything we've been talking about has been about Amazon. But the thing is, they all sound very interesting. That's the upsetting part. You're like, oh, man, Amazon has James Bond. And they're like, yeah, but check out Denis Villeneuve. And we're like, well, fuck. They got me. And then you go over to, they're like, oh, hey, Amazon's getting the Spider-Man rights to some things. And they're like, hey, we're doing Nick Cage Spider-Man Noir. And you're like, well, they got me. And now they have this. And they got me again.
Yeah. Yeah. And, a lot of people are big fans of the Fallout series. I never watched past the pilot, not because I hated it, just because I just never got around to it. But
I forgot.
There were some that argued that Amazon is killing with Fallout. I've heard that the second season of Rings of Power was actually fucking phenomenal. I never watched it the first season because it had kind of mixed reviews. I heard the second season was great.
And they had the boys.
Yes, which I still need to finish. I'm about halfway through. But yeah, great stuff coming from Amazon. Again, you put Jac Schaeffer's name on something, I'm gonna watch it. I don't make the rules. That's just how it is. Before we move on to our main topic story, just a couple live chats I want to point out. Turnip Head in all caps says Dalton's going to read Smut. It will be my first time reading Smut, but it's not my go-to. Let's see. She also says, don't act like you're not going to like it. You got to protect myself somehow. And she also adds, Dalton and Nick love their fairy smut. He. Here's the thing, though. Fourth Wing is not fairy smut, it's dragon smut. Akatar is fairy smut. See, I know that much. I know that much, okay?
Does Shrek count as dragon smut?
It should. I think it should, personally. But guys, what do you think about the Fourth Wing show coming to Amazon from Jac Schaeffer? Let us know in the comments as we move on to our main topic story today. Of course, before moving on to the box office. There's a show called The Studio out right now that creates this fictional thing based off of kind of real events about a Kool-Aid series that Seth Rogen's character has to turn into a billion-dollar franchise. And it's kind of an inside peek curtain look into the world of Hollywood and how crazy it can be with big executives and green lights and trying to get things made and pleasing people and all that. Well, we potentially have a real-life example of that right in front of us. And that is because there is a Hot Wheels movie coming, which we talked about ages ago, back when Barbie was a huge hit. We knew that Mattel, and other toy companies were going to be developing this. But a huge, awesome wrench has been thrown into this game that literally took me from being like, I don't give a shit about this, to, God damn it, I give a shit about this. And that is that Jon M. the director of Wicked for Good, and Crazy Rich Asians, will direct and produce the Hot Wheels movie for Warner Brothers, and Bad Robot will produce, obviously based on the iconic toys that we all played with. It's billed as an action film, which is going to be interesting. And then when you talk about adding talent, it's written by Joel Taylor and Tony Rettenmaier, who wrote Creed 2, and they cloned Tyrone. Guys, is this movie going to be fucking good? Like, are they going to crush the Hot Wheels movie? That's what I'm wondering. I need to know. My big question with this is, how are they going to adapt it? Because Barbie, just for example, was a very genius way to adapt how do we turn this toy into a movie. And they did a very great job. And I think there's a similar way you could do it with Hot Wheels. There's a completely different way you can do it with Hot Wheels. Or is it just going to be like Cars, where the cars have souls and eyeballs and they race each other and do cool stuff on tracks? I'm down for that. Whatever route they go. I'm beyond fascinated. I'm beyond fascinated by this. But then here's the thing. I would make the joke like I made earlier that, like, oh, this is just Kool-Aid. This is like the Emoji Movie. Like, just a studio who doesn't care, just throwing money at an IP that they want to try to make money on. But they're hiring some real fucking talent here. And that's what makes it's like they want this to be good. I hope it is. I hope whenever this fucking comes out, let's say it's 27, 28, I hope that Dalton in the future can look back at this Dalton and go, you fool. This was always going to be the great movie that it is now. I hope that that's what happens. But Nick, genuinely fascinated by this. I'm going to throw it your way now. What do you think about Jon M. directing Hot Wheels? And do you think this is something that could actually not only be a good movie, but a successful one at that?
I think 100% absolutely. It's something that I'm actually very excited about from a news standpoint. Yes, I see the studio jokes, right? But listen, who thought Barbie was going to be $1 billion movie and get Oscar nominations, you know? Mattel did. And I think that's what's important. They got Greta Gerwig, and I think that when you have great talent behind the screen, especially with Jon M. who I think is a fantastic director, who has repeated box office success, especially now going into Wicked Part 2 coming out this November. Sorry, Wicked for Good, until the title screen pops up and it says Wicked Part 2. So I think it's a very interesting thing. And I think there's a greater interesting story here in that racing movies typically are very successful. Movies centered around cars. Need for Speed was profitable.
Hey, you're damn right it was. Because guess what? When you brought up racing movies, I told myself at some point before we move on, I got to bring up Need for Speed. It's the law. I can't not do it.
No, but I'm right. Need for Speed was a movie that was profitable. Gran Turismo, I think, got just shy, if I'm remembering correctly. Like, I think it was in that like 2.2, 2.3 range.
Huge streaming hit, though.
A huge streaming hit. F1 is crushing it right now. And Fast and Furious is going to be ending. There's going to be a massive gap in that realm, in that niche, that I think Hot Wheels is going to be, if they poise it right, it's going to be very successful as a franchise.
It could be. And listen, I let me take all kidding aside. I hope this movie fucking rules, dude. I hope they make a Hot Wheels movie and it's fucking phenomenal. That'd be great. Just of course the original optics of it just seems so odd, but when you see this talent behind it, oh my god, you know what just occurred to me? We're gonna get a press tour for Wicked. And we get to hear John shoot. Of course, people are going to ask him about Hot Wheels. Oh, this is the best day ever.
Well, it's that too, and don't forget he also has his split fiction movie with Sydney
Yes.
Sweeney that he's working on as
Yes.
well. So I'm very curious where all these projects are going to be lining up, what kind of budget these movies are going to be working with, especially after the success of Wicked and the what I assume will be successful Wicked for good.
Yeah.
You know, I think he's a great working director right now, and I think it's very interested to see the projects that he's aligning with. So I'm very curious to see how that all plays out.
Oh, me too. Me too. It's going to be great. Before we move on, one thing I want to point out is Kylixer puts in the live chat. They're going to need more than a wrench for all those cars. Kylixer, you're better than that. Come on. Come on. You got more game than that. Kyle's also asking about split fiction like the game Tell Me More. Nick, do you want to provide some context for Kylixer there before we move on?
Sure. I just quickly pulled up the Variety article. So this is back in, I believe, April is when it was announced, toward the end of April. Sydney Sweeney is set to star in a film adaptation of hit video game Split Fiction with Jon M directing, Variety has learned. The script for the movie is being written by Deadpool and Wolverine screenwriters Rhett Reese and Paul Wernick. The Split Fiction game will be produced by Mike Goldberg and Dimitri M. Johnson's Story Kitchen, which is taking on the talent package to the studio. Choose Electric Somewhere. Sweeney is set to executive produce. Is a co-op adventure game that features gameplay mechanics involving split-screen combat, platforming challenges, and differing abilities for each character. Sources tell Variety is yet to be decided which lead role Sydney will be playing, Zoe or Mio. So it is, in the works.
There you go. There you go. But guys, what do you think about Jon M. Chu directing the Hot Wheels movie and the talented writers and seemingly talented everything that they're going to put into this to try to make it a great film? Let us know your thoughts in the comments down below as we move on to the box office.
The box office.
Nicholas.
Dalton.
I have our predictions pulled up from last week. You had predicted coming in first would be Jurassic World Rebirth, followed by F1, How to Train Your Dragon, Elio, and Megan 2. I shared the first three, but I flipped Megan 2 and Elio, putting Megan 2 at 4 and Elio at 5. We were both wrong. However, you got the first 4 right.
That's
you
pretty
crushed
good.
it.
Pretty
You
good
crushed
for me.
it. So, with that being said, what came in 5th? What are the real numbers? How will we ever know what the box office numbers were? Well, you've come to the right show, everyone. This is the only thing I look forward to when I wake up, is looking at these numbers. Because I have a problem. Here we go for the most recent weekend. Obviously, like we said, coming in first was Jurassic World Rebirth, making $92 million in the opening weekend. But please note, that movie opened on a Wednesday, so that 92 does not include all the money it made from Tuesday night, Wednesday, and Thursday. F1, the movie, made $25 million in its second weekend, dropping 55%, the average exact drop you want to see. How to Train Your Dragon came in third, $11.2 million, dropping 43% from week 3 to week 4. Elio came in fourth, making $5.7 million, dropping only 45% from week 2 to week 3. And coming in 5th was 28 Years Later, dropping 53% from week 2 to week 3, making $4.5 million. Megan 2 came in 6th, and it dropped 61% from week 1 to week 2. Not great for Megan 2.0. Lilo and Stitch came in 7th, making $3.9 million. Mission Impossible in 8th at $2.7. Materialist in 9th, making $1.3 million in its 4th weekend. And coming in 10th, this is Spinal Tap, making $1.069 million in its 2,158th week. Good for them. Good for them. I love doing the bit every single time. By the way, do you know why they re-released it? Because it's the 41st anniversary.
Goes up to 11.
It's an excellent bit that never dies.
Aren't they supposed to be doing a sequel?
They
to
are.
That?
They are. Yeah.
Does that come out soon? Is that filmed?
I don't think it's filmed yet. I think it maybe films at the end of the year, but I'm also pulling that out of my ass, so I don't know. But a fun bit also with that, with the 11 joke,
Mhm.
on IMDb, this is Spinal Tap is out of 11 stars, and it's the only one.
That's pretty good. I wonder if there's anything on Letterboxd for it. According to Wikipedia, that sequel comes out in September.
Oh. Well, hey, then they're done.
Oh, hold on. I apologize. I used Wikipedia. Variety also confirmed September release date.
Listen, I'm okay with you using Wikipedia. It's more accurate than people give it credit for. It's probably Wikipedia is more reliable than ChatGPT. I'll say it. So here we go with the real numbers. Jurassic World Rebirth has $334 million worldwide already on a budget of 180. Oh, that's bullshit. I'm so sorry. I do not believe for a second that movie was made for 180. It's at least 220. Don't lie to us, Universal. This is Captain America 4 all over again. No way it's 180. But I don't think this movie is going to have a problem getting money. It's pretty critic-proof anyway. So there's that. F1 now has $300 million worldwide. It's cracked that mark. The budget's not listed here, but we've seen from other sources that it was around $250 million. So it has a while to go for profitability, but for an original film, 300 worldwide is nothing to sneeze at. How to Train Your Dragon is now at 520, which the budget's not listed here, but we've seen from other sources that it was made for 150 million. So well into profitability. Good for How to Train Your Dragon. Elio now has 98 million, just short of 100, on a budget of 150. My God. But it's had the short drops and it's been staying up. If it can keep it up, we might see a situation like Elemental. However, it doesn't have exactly that momentum, so we'll see how it ends up. It's not looking great, though, but maybe it can keep staying in there with short drops. We'll see. 28 Years Later now has $126 million worldwide on a budget of 60, 2.1, just shy of profitability. We'll see where it ends up ending up. Megan 2.0 has $31 million worldwide on a budget of 25, so with its steep drops, it looks like it's not even going to get the 2.5 on that, which is a shame considering that was pretty modestly budgeted. Lilo and Stitch, 975.
So close.
I keep going back and forth because I was bullish on it making $1 billion early. Then when it kind of slowed up, I was like, I don't know. That only needs 25 more million, though.
It might squeak in there.
It might squeak it in.
It depends on if they're going to make the announcement that it's going to be streaming on Disney Plus soon.
I agree with you. Don't do that. Hold it off. If you want the $1 billion, right?
If you want the $1 billion, just hold off.
I agree. I agree with you. But we'll see. We'll see. It could come just shy. And I also have Materialist up here. $45 million worldwide so far in a budget of 20. Just shy of profitability theatrically. We'll see how it does elsewhere. But yes, those are the box office numbers. It is now time to do my favorite thing, which is predict next week's. Oh, my sweet Nicholas.
Yes, sir.
Are you ready for these predictions?
Yeah, are you going first?
I'll go first. There's this little movie coming out this weekend called Superman, which, by the way, we have seen, and our review is on the channel. Please go check it out. Give it a like and a comment to boost it up and talk so we can do more movie reviews and go to things early. We love doing that for you guys. Superman was quite good. Now,
you can see my little Superman thing here.
Yes, and I still got my hat that I put on my table from the review the other day. So, here's what I'm going to say. Call me crazy. I think Superman's going to come in first.
Safe bet. Safe bet.
You know, you gotta go with it. I'm gonna go Jurassic World second.
Okay.
F1 third.
Mm-hmm.
Dragon fourth.
Okay.
My heart says Elio in fifth. But I'm going to go with 28 Years Later.
Oh.
Here's the thing, though. I wouldn't be surprised if Lilo and Stitch jumps. Because I think a lot of families... Because a lot of families are going to go watch Superman because it's superheroes and it has Crypto the dog. And Lilo and Stitch might be the it's sold out, let's watch something else movie. But I'll stick with 28. I'll stick with 28. Nick?
Okay.
What you got?
I am going to go very similar to you, at least with the top four, and then I'm going to stick with Elio
Okay.
in fifth. I think it's going to be a little bit of a sleeper there, and I think it's gonna hold steady. So
Hope
to
so.
recap, then mine: Superman, Jurassic World Rebirth, F1, How to Train Your Dragon, Elio. So it all comes down to fifth again.
All comes down to fifth. Watch, it is going to be Lilo and Stitch now, and I should have gone with it. Oh, famous last words. But guys, if you leave a comment on what your prediction is for the top 5 box office next week, and you're right, we will shout you out on the next episode of the show. If you like our content, you like our stuff, if you're new, please give us a like, give us a comment, boost us so we can make more stuff for you. We also have an audio-only version of our shows that will be available the next day. Watch our Superman review, watch Quiver on Apple TV on July 18th, a week from Friday, and please use our affiliate link for NordVPN. Protect your information, watch those streaming services, and support the channel. Guys, as always, so much fun doing the show. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one. Friday's show is going to be interesting because as soon as that bitch is over, man, I'm watching that Jaws documentary that comes out.
Is that when that comes out?
Oh, yeah. Nothing will stop me from doing it.
Nice.
No, I never ended the stream. There you go, everyone.